Hey, what's up, Roto Crew? Welcome back to the live stream. Hope y'all are doing well. And I'll be going over Battle Box today. We actually had a pretty good trade yesterday, called out on the live stream. So we'll check that out as well. Kind of go into a little bit of the recap, but if you're really interested in kind of checking out the full recap and seeing what we were doing or what we were thinking about yesterday, then you'll want to watch our recap that comes out at 10 o'clock. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. So going to the in-app scene, we got our trade view here. And you can see this is where we were yesterday. So live stream, we were about here. So we had that breakdown actually below the volume area low. Set during the stream. Yeah, that was like right after the stream. We broke down. We had that retest here. So you technically could have took down trade there. So for the sake of arguments, we'll say we took it. You would have basically got that retest, that breakdown. And if you're watching it, honestly, like this is the first target that we were talking about. So you would have gotten it right here on this first target if you took it off, if you're watching for that resistance. But even if you weren't watching for it, you could have gotten out probably around here when it broke back above the volume area low, because that's when we get out, because that's when we were talking about yesterday, and that's kind of the level that would say, oh, this trade's kind of over with. And even if you saw that like break up, close above, and then break down, you could have gotten out there. Either way. But yeah, it wasn't really the trade of the day, but still not a bad trade. You'd made, I don't know, like trades like $100, you might have made like 25 to $50, so not bad. And then when you broke up, had that retest here, and we actually broke up even harder. So if you were trading this one, you would have made about 1.5. So overall, about $200 yesterday, or more if you were like, if you held it longer than our second target. But at least for the way we trade, $100, trading $100 each time, we made about 200. So not a bad trading day, nice little move. But again, yeah, if you want to see that full recap on that price action yesterday, go ahead and check out our recap that comes out at 10 o'clock. Yeah, let's build out some stuff for today. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my lines on here. And we'll get started with our battle box. So heading on over here, start our market recap review. And if you've been here before, then you know what we're grabbing. So we need that 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute, 5 minute screenshots. So we'll go ahead and switch it on up to the 4 hour, double click everything. Switch it on up to the 4 hour, double click all of it. So they're all autoed. And then we'll just get those screenshots all down the line. So that's 1, 2, 3. Alright, awesome. So we got our screenshots in there now. Now the next thing we need is those FRVP levels. So we'll head to our 1 hour. And I'm going to first set up my battle box probably before I do the FRVP. So we'll go ahead to FRVP. We're just going to type or go back to our battle box. We'll type FRVP levels. "24-hour. And then the 3 different levels: volume area high. Oops. Volume area high. VOC. Oh man. Trying to do it too fast. I'll just copy this, put it in a new one. Make sure you press Shift and then Tab if you're trying to go to the next line. You just press or Shift and then Enter. Sorry, if you just press Enter, you're gonna end up sending the message. So volume area low is the next one, and then we'll do warning. The one thing is, if you do end up sending it prematurely, that'll just correct you. So you don't really have to worry about forgetting things, because it'll let you know, like, oh, you still need to send me XYZ, like we're missing something. Which is what it did here. It told me I need the I need the morning, or I need the volume area. Sorry, wow, I need the FRVP levels still. And I also need to get that 30-minute and the screenshot for the news, which actually I'm going to go grab right now. Go to cryptocraft.com. You won't be able to see this on the screen, but basically you go to cryptocraft.com, go to today, and actually we have a lot of news events today, it looks like. Just going to paste it in here. So it looks like we have some news at 1 and then some at 1:30. And red means high impact. So the yellows I wouldn't be too worried about, but 1 to 1:30, that's going to be some rough trading, possibly. Alright, let's get those FRVP levels. Back to trade view. Go down 4 from the crosses, and then we're going to go over and then to fixed range volume profile. And then for the 24-hour, we'll go 7 to 7. So Tuesday at 7 to today at 7. That'll be our first ones, and we'll do 24-hour. You can go ahead and turn those back on. If you don't have these, it's just Alt-J to get a array, and then you can change the settings to make it look like this. If you don't know how to change the settings, you can just go ahead and look up our go check out our Traders Toolkit playlist. We have a bunch of videos on just in general how to use TradeView, and there should be a video in there on how to set up how to change that kind of stuff, different colors, or putting these little words on them and stuff. Yeah. So those are our 24-hour ones. Actually, I shouldn't have deleted that. We can go ahead and just drop those in right now. So we'll go ahead and go to settings on the volume area high, and then we'll go to coordinates and just grab the coordinates out of there. Back to our chat GPT, and we'll just paste it in here. And then we'll do the same for all the rest of them. So same for the POC, copy and then paste it. And then same for the volume area low. Alright. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll take that back part and then drag it forward to 3 o'clock. We're going to get those morning POCs or morning FRVP levels set up. Just click and drag again. These ones are a little harder to get exact the first try, so I'm just gonna kind of drag them over close. I screwed up the blue one. And then we'll just line them up better now that we can see it a little easier. And you can zoom in like a ton and get really accurate on it, but as long as they're like pretty close, resistance and support zones are always just levels or zones anyways. So the couple of dollars that you're off on this is not going to matter that much, honestly. But we got our levels on there now, so we'll just go ahead and do the same thing. Grab the coordinates from here and put it into our morning one this time. Last but not least, the voluntary low. Alright, we got all 6 of our different FRVP levels in there. So the last thing that we will do before we get that marker view is we're going to go back to trade view. We'll go to our 30-minute and I'm gonna actually close out these lines here. And then we'll go to this 7:30 candle, and you're gonna look at the top on my screen. It'll be right under where it says Crota, but it's gonna be an H and an L, and the numbers next to them are what we're looking for. So the H is gonna be your high, and the L will be your low. So the H today is 116,485. So we'll head back to ChatGPT. Type 30 minute candle, high, and then low. It's going to be 116,485. 116,485. And then the low will be 116,044. 116,044. Okay, sweet. So we got all our levels in there. We got our morning, our 30-minute candle in there, and then we got our screenshot there now too. So we'll go ahead and send that in, see what the battle box has to say about today. Alright, so if you've never seen one of these before, we got our different levels. Well, I guess these are our time frames with a little breakdown next to them on each one. Then we got our levels. Typically, these are just the ones we put in there, as well as the daily support and resistance. Trade strategy, you got the different news events we'll have with how high the impacts are. Execution considerations. If you put the weekly zone, weekly FRVPs in there, it'll be right there as well. But not too worried about that. And then we got our YAML levels. So we'll go over this one first. So back to trade view. I'm just gonna kind of start by reading off what the GPT says, and then we'll kind of dig into it a little bit more. So the battle box is saying price continues to climb above the clustered EMAs, but recent candle shows rejection wick off of 116.5K zone. VACT histogram is flat, RSI is hovering mid-50s, indicating early stall. Structure is grinding, flag continuation, but losing momentum. Okay. Ugh, excuse me. Okay, so we're above the moving averages, all of them. Good sign. We just broke out of this flag here, which is what it was mentioning. So we had a flag there, just broke out. We're kind of showing some weakness here. MACD is curling downwards, so we started to break up on MACD, and then we're curling over, and now we're starting to break through to the downside. You got RSI is above the 50 line, but the fast moving average just broke down through the slow moving average, showing that we might have a curl to the downside pretty soon. Stoches are also topped out, which is again not a huge deal because we are on the longer time frames. Typically when a flag like this breaks out, you see a nice breakout and continuation, which this could just be a little bit of a kind of retest almost before we bounce up higher. But it also could be something that it could be showing that it's kind of the end of the run here. The other thing that I'm kind of looking at on this 4 hour is you got this uptrend here, and I'm going to delete these lines so they don't get confusing. You got this uptrend here, whereas on the RSI you got a downtrend. So that's showing some divergence. I believe that is, I think that's just regular divergence. Yeah. Yeah. Regular divergence. If you look up a divergence, like just look up divergence, you'll see some charts on it. But essentially, it's whenever price differentiates from the indicator that you're using. So typically, people will use the RSI. You could use the MACD as well. You can kind of see that we got a bump up here in the MACD, and then on this run here, we barely went up. Not even close to the height of this one. So there's divergence there too. You can use the stoches as well. However, especially at this time frame, but any time frame, stoches are not the most accurate for divergence. Like you can see, for example, it's saying we had some divergence here. Since since it's flat here, or flat to a downtrend, and then we got an uptrend here, but obviously we climbed even higher. So like, it's just not the best thing for like divergence wise. It's not really something that you'd want to look at, but RSI for sure is one of the main things that I would be looking at for indicator wise for divergence. And we do have some pretty major divergence on the 4 hour. Yeah. The only way we kind of break that is we do end up breaking to the upside and pulling this RSI up to where it's higher than the previous high. And that'll kind of set us up for breaking that divergence. Moving on to the 1 hour. So in the 1 hour, we'll go ahead and read that. What the GPT has to say. So GPT, the battle box says a local pullback underway from 116.5k high, retesting or testing the morning POC cluster, and we'll go ahead and turn those back on so it makes sense. So we're testing the morning, which mornings are going to be pink. Morning POC cluster, MACD is crossing down, RSI is rolling under 50, and Stoch's RSI is currently down. Sellers are probing. So MACD got a cross downside. We're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles so far. Typically you see 8, so we could see a little bit more of a down run. Not that it can't turn right here, but typically you see a little bit more. But you can see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 there. So follow the same pattern. We're getting pretty close. It kind of just depends, but typically if it's a decent run, you see like a little bit more of a down run before we flip. You got RSIs curling to the downside. on the slower moving average. It does look like we are going to try to get a little bit of a pullback before we continue down a little farther, at least based off what the RSI is saying. Same thing on here. You got that same diverge. Well, I guess not the same, but you got some divergence here as well. So you can see that we got an uptrend there, downtrend here, downtrend sideways, I guess, here. So we got some divergence there as well. We did get that breakdown below the volume area high on the 1 hour, or volume area low on the 1 hour last hour, the last hour, well, 2 hours ago, I guess. So we are below that as well. Something to watch for. Heading to the 15-minute, the GPT says breakdown pressure as candles close below short EMAs. RSI is less than 40. MACD histogram is flipping negative and clear loss of momentum from the morning push. Okay. So we broke down off that 116.5 that the GPT's kind of been saying for like every different one we've done. We got that breakdown here. We broke below the volume area high on the 15, which you know what that means. Technically, it's time for a trade when we retest here. As of this moment, I wouldn't be like ultra excited about getting into that, but according to the system, we are basically are. I checked 5 minutes still, but technically that's pretty much what you should have done. Should have gotten in. Yeah, we got the same divergence on the 15. Wow. Okay, so maybe not. This is looking more and more short, but we got that same divergence. You can see uptrend, downtrend here. Typically, you don't see it on every single chart, but you got the MACD is curling back to the upside. You got RSI down at the bottom of the lower range, so it is getting oversold. You can see it's actually broke above the faster moving average, broke the slower moving average, and the slower moving average, which is yellow, so starting to curl up underneath it. So we could see a possible little bit of an up run here, maybe take us back up a little bit more. I will say that when you see this kind of divergence, typically you don't break the level that you set the divergence on. So, I mean, really, it's kind of this 24-hour high, but say this is our level here that we set divergence on. We probably, even if we get a breakup, like say we break up, come up through all these levels, come up, retest, and then break up, we're really only going to come up to here and then reset, if even. We'll come up to there. So not something like, yeah, I don't know. That's not really, I would be a little leery of taking an up trade, I guess, here because of all that divergence up there. Especially with it going all the way out to the 4 hour. Going down to the 5 minute. The GPT says repeated failed bounces at 116.3 to 116.4, now trading near the volume area low. Momentum compressed. Volume is sitting in risk of extended drift unless reclaimed fast. Okay, so let's see. We see if we got that same, and we do. We got the same divergence here on the 5 minute as well. Same exact area as the other two. We are reclaiming that volume area low. You did get a nice retest there and breakdown. But we are reclaiming. You got the MACD crossing back to the upside. So we're flipping green there. You got RSI is flipping green as well. You can see we're kind of getting a little bit of an up run here. So we'll see if we can hold that. Kind of crazy that it's been doing that since then. We actually got some bearish divergence, or bullish divergence here. So you can see got an uptrend there and a downtrend here. So we're looking for some more, because you get a little bit of a bounce off the bottom. It's definitely not going to negate the rest of the divergence, like the bearish divergence, but a little bit of bullish divergence would be good for a little bit of a bounce, maybe a pullback before we continue down farther. The GPT says that the bias is weakening intraday momentum after overnight rally. Bulls must defend 116 to 116.2 shelf or risk rotating into a full 24-hour value test. 116, 116.2. So that's essentially where we're kind of sitting right now. 116 would be about the lower end where we come down and tested, and then 116.2 is about that volume area low. All right, so got that out of the way. That's kind of what we're looking at for today. There's our different news events here. We'll go ahead and see what that battle plan has to say. So let's build a battle plan. Let's build a battle plan. Wow. So we're looking at same kind of thing. Wow. Okay. Okay, so our battle plan for the uptrade today is we're looking at that breakout to the 24-hour volume area high. So we got a reclaim of, if we get that reclaim of 116.8, so about that volume area high for the morning, we can go check it out. So essentially, if you get that reclaim of this level here, get that reclaim retest, and we break up, then we're looking for that 116.9 to 117.2 level. So about here, 116.9, so like barely above it or all the way up to there. We're looking for that trade there. If you do get that extension, like I said, it's really not gonna break that, or it shouldn't break that, so make sure you check that out. Next up, we got a failure rejection. So if we test into, okay, so basically it's saying you could trade. So if we get that break and you see that failure start to happen at like 117, 116 area, or 116.9 area, you can kind of take that trade downward. So you get that breakout, that retest, and we start to go up and we kind of hit that 117 level and start to get that rejection there, you could take a trade and take it downwards. A little bit more advanced, I guess, but it is something you could be watching for. And then the last thing we got is that breakdown into the volume area low. So if we lose the levels we're kind of sitting at, so if we lose this level essentially and get that retest, then we're kind of looking for that breakdown to this 24-hour volume area low or even lower than that. That's really it for today. That's kind of what we're looking at. The one thing to watch out for is that well, it'd be more like 12:30 to 2. There'll be a lot of different price action because of the the different FOMC meetings that are coming out. We'll have to kind of be watching for some price action there. Essentially, what the VATAWOX suggests you do is scale down on your the sizes of your trades to kind of be careful for that kind of thing. Just something to watch out for. It shouldn't affect the morning trading, but people sometimes will kind of trade into that kind of thing. So just something to be leery about, I guess, as we continue forward today. But yeah, it should be a pretty decent day. Typically, though, the days after a nice move like yesterday are kind of the ones that are, like not as interesting. So not to say that we couldn't have another interesting day today. So we'll see. But yeah, just be a little leery of it. Watch out for that 12:30 to 2 o'clock time frame, as there is that news. But other than that, just make sure y'all check out our X account if you want to get any of our levels. We will have that recap coming out at 10, like I said. Yeah. Other than that, happy trading, and we will catch y'all next time.